Hey everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosin. I'm here today with
Hey everybody, it's Andrew Plank with Royal LePage. How's it going?
Good. So it's December 6th. Can you believe it?
No. This whole year, every year just gets faster and faster. I have a theory about that. We can go into that later.
Well, the older you are, a year is less time.
Well, I was talking to my kids and I said, I think that actually what happens is we say that the time slows down as we get older or whatever, but or speeds. I think it speeds up, and kids are like born into a new generation, and it's sort of like that's the speed for them, and we're kind of playing catch up. And then as they get older, the new generation time is sped up, and it's actually physically speeding up.
Well, we need to have a guest on the show to discuss that because I have no idea.
Real estate and metaphysics.
So how was your week?
A good week. Yeah. Good bits of business, a few closings. You got clients into homes, some showings. Don't have any new listings coming up till the new year, which I'm absolutely fine with because not really much point to doing a big launch just before, the season really turns into quiet and people distracted. So no, it's been good, and some nice visits with friends, and watched the truck parade on Saturday and had a great meal with friends. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
It was fun.
I'm a homebody.
Okay. I can be too, but.
So we have two people joining us so far that I can see. So if you guys have any questions, let us know. Also, well, I have an interesting story about what happened to me on the weekend. I had a client put an offer. Actually, it was last week, and there were two offers. We were above asking and unconditional, and they did not accept it because we were not high enough.
Did they accept anything?
Nope.
Right. Yeah. So this is frustrating because people are either being coached to or are having higher expectations that bringing properties to market that really aren't offered at. They're offered for sale, but they're not for sale at the price they're offered for, which is, I feel, the wrong way to go about it.
I don't think the listing agent was prepared. I don't think he was at fault. But anyway, it happened. And I find that happens when the market's shifting a bit.
Yeah.
And sellers are maybe expecting more, and then it doesn't come to fruition. So,
well, there's always a section of people out there who, they're testing the market. They would sell if they could get the premium for their home and make it really easy. You've got a home that's worth $1 million and you'd sell it if you could get 1.5. Who's going to say no? But that's unicorn hunting.
Exactly. So anyway, it's okay. We're just going to change our strategy, and they're okay with that.
Now, anyway, there's provisions in the listing contract that state that the commission is earned by the listing agent when a ready, willing, and able buyer brings an offer that meets the seller's terms and conditions. And in theory, if you brought an unconditional offer at full asking price, you could argue that commission is earned, but most people don't pursue that.
No, it's like throwing good money after bad.
It doesn't look good on anyone, but at the same time, the reason for that provision is so that people aren't tire kicker sellers saying, well, I'm really not interested in selling, but I just want to see if I can get offers on my place. Oh, I've got 3 offers on my place. Oh, good. I know it's saleable, but I don't really want to sell it.
I had a client once who wanted to put her place on the market, not because she wanted it sold, but she just liked it on MLS.
Okay. It's like the social media for housing.
Yeah. And it's like vanity press. It's like some sellers like to have their homes in the newspaper or magazine because it's a vanity thing. And That was okay. It was okay with me because she was upfront with it right from the very beginning. So, um, Wendy is saying, thanks so much for these podcasts. You're welcome.
You're welcome, Wendy. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the market. Let's get going.
I haven't even looked at the stats yet, so this is good. This is going to be exciting.
Okay. And I've got a new program here which allows me to actually see while we're doing this. So actually I did this yesterday. So I'll start with this one. 122 new listings over the past week, 151 pending. So our list to sale ratio is a bit high.
More selling than listing as usual, but a much wider gap than we've seen for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Price decreases 21. These are people trying to get their house off the market before Christmas. And now is the time, if you want a quick closing, you could probably get one in the next 10 days. But don't try for anything before New Year's. It's going to be tough.
When you say quick closing, you mean actually closing and getting ownership.
Done it.
Yeah. So for those vacant homes, absolutely. If you can get the lawyers to work that fast.
Yeah, and sometimes people, you can find like collapsed deals maybe that have gone right, and you can get in there.
Mm-hmm.
So
we were just having that conversation the other day. We're sidetracking here, but it's always kind of interesting. But the value of backup offers, where, especially in this market where things happen so fast, and not everything is unconditional, but there are, most are, but there are some conditional offers that get accepted subject to building inspection or financing, and there's a chance they'll fall apart. And you probably in this market have a better chance of being in second place than in being in first place, you might say, by putting your backup offer in. You're one of 10 competing offers, but maybe there's a 20% chance the offer will fall apart. Let's get that backup position. So
what we can do is when we write an offer and it doesn't go through, we're not the one chosen, we can actually ask to let us know if the deal is going to go sideways, we say it. And then we can just hop right in there with our own offer, or put in an offer subject to the first one collapsing, which is a backup offer.
So rather than wait, okay, fine. Well, go ahead.
You go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, rather than wait to find out if the first offer falls apart, you make an offer that is just subject to the first offer collapsing. If the seller agrees to that, then they are beholden to you to sell to you if the first offer falls apart. So rather than going back to a second competition a week later, you're in there. Okay, so active listings. I'll go with this then. We can see this graph here shows from I'm losing my eyesight. That's 2019, isn't it? 2019 in November, we had 2,400 listings on market. And then November 2020, we had about 1,800 listings. And now here we are, November 2021, we have under 1,000 listings, around 900 listings on market. And the peak here was in January 2020. And of course, this graph doesn't show further back, which would actually be a higher graph in the past where our averages were even higher for total active listings. So we are extremely, extremely low inventory.
In January, I'll be able to show a graph that shows the trend over time. Those aren't available right now.
I'm having to do this now too. So. Yeah, there it is.
But what's important here to realize is that seasonally, we're always going to have a dip anyway. So it's normal for the number of listings to go down. And it's also normal for the number of listings to go up in the spring. It's just that this year we hardly had an increase in the number. We've just been low all year. So it's been a real struggle for buyers, and we understand that, and we're empathetic to you. Okay, next one. Okay, so just looking at total new listings. So these are listings that come on the market that have not been previously listed, and then the sales is the line graph here. So you can see we always talked about last year that we had very steady sales of about 1,000 listings from July to October. And what that did was it really depleted our reserves, and we oversold in December. And so we started out with a dearth of listings in
Dearth.
Like that one.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. She was just talking about her dad and with his accent. And I feel like you need to say a dearth. Yeah.
A dearth. Okay, well, anyway, so I can do the rest of it with a Scottish accent if you want.
I'd
We
appreciate it. Thank you.
had Okay, we had a peak in, April in the number of listings, but actually, if you look at our list to sale ratio, we actually peaked in March. I'm not very good at this. And unfortunately, what you're seeing, from June on, like July to November, is we're seeing that we're almost at a 1-to-1 list to sale ratio here, and so
Mhm.
scary,
Yes.
scary for buyers.
What we need to really see is more listings coming on market and start to build up that inventory again. More coming on market than are selling. And now we don't want that to be so dramatic a difference that we end up with an unbalanced market on the other side of the pendulum. But it would be really great to bring us back to some sort of balance. And the hope is that in the spring we may not get there, but we might get closer.
More listings for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So this is what I was talking about, the list to sale ratio. So in November 2019, just before COVID, we were actually in a balanced market. We headed into a buyer market in April 20, just after COVID hit, and then we rapidly uh, moved into seller's market
Mm-hmm.
and peaked in March of this year.
There was just a really tiny window of opportunity for buyers, and nobody really recognized it as an opportunity because at that time we thought the sky was falling and everything was we were going to have no market. And CMHC and a lot of predictors were saying we were going to see a big drop, in 19% drop in house prices across the year. So it was interesting in that March, April 2020 period where we thought the sky was going to fall, and then it just rebounded so rapidly.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Looking here, single family home prices. We're going to do single family condos and townhomes. So 2 years ago, we were hovering around 950, and dipped to below 900 in April of 2020. Obviously, that's when COVID hit, and then we had
Mhm.
again a rapid recovery
Mhm.
and very steady increase. And if we look at it over time, I think we're going to see is like will look flat, then there'll be a bump up, then it'll look flat. And I think that we're heading into another flat period, hopefully.
Right. We tend to go up, rise up, and then hit a plateau, and then rise up again and hit a plateau. And you can find dips and valleys and hills and such throughout. But overall, when you look at the sort of zoom back and look at the greater picture, you tend to see that for the most part is what you'll see. And if you kind of even out this graph, you can see it's still on a sort of pretty steady uprise. Um,
And we're up around,
Overall,
yeah,
since
over
May
1.
2020 or June 2020, it's, other than the dip in December 2020, we always sort of see those dips in the December kind of range. Overall, it's just a pretty steady line upwards.
Yep. So we've moved from 950 to just under 1.35.
And these are average prices, not median, right? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, condo, apartments, all areas of Greater Victoria. So again, from November 2019, we had about 407, just above 475 as our average condo price. When COVID hit, we had that drop again, and then a pretty steady rise, bit of a ramp up in, you see these ramp ups in the springs, like February 2021, March 2021. And then we've just had such low inventory, and because apartments, condos were lagging behind houses, we've seen a bit more of a bump since August 2021, as it's sort of, if you think of the prices of houses and the prices of condos may be attached by a rubber band, and the houses have risen up. These condos waited a little bit, but now the band is catching up and pulling them higher. That tension needs to relax.
Kind of
So
like a
that's what we're
jolly
seeing.
jumper. Kind of like a jolly jumper.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah.
So we were at 475 2 years ago, and we're up at 650 now for condos.
Mm-hmm.
And just remember, this is an average. So I know that there are some higher end condos that are completing now, and that's going to affect our data. Okay.
Yes.
Townhomes. Townhomes, same thing, only they didn't suffer as much during COVID. So we have moved over the past years from 575 up to, we went over 850, but now we're around 800.
Mhm.
And a big jump over the 700 mark in August of this year. So it's really taken off. And I think partially it's just a lack of inventory.
If you're watching this and you own a townhouse, the thing to know about townhouses is there's less townhouses than there are houses and condos in Victoria. So averages can be skewed more easily by some, a number of less expensive townhouses selling or a number of really expensive townhouses selling. It tends to jump around a bit more. So you kind of want to, again, do a bit of a more of a step back, fuzzy look at this and see that the graph overall is on an upward trend. But that rise and then that lowering over a couple months may not be representative of a trend downwards. That being said, I think as we see more inventory in housing coming again, we'll see a shift back towards people preferring houses over townhouses, all things being equal.
Yeah, I think what happened during COVID is many people left condos and moved into townhomes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because houses were unaffordable, or have reached a point where they're more out of reach, so people are their second choice, taking their second choices.
Okay, so these are stats put together by my office, looking year over year for November. So I'll do this one. You can do the next one.
Okay.
So single family homes is up around 1.3. This is up from last year of $1 million. And remember, last year we were talking about things hovering right around $1 million because of the way that the financing changes.
Yeah.
Number of units is down because of less inventory at 215 compared to 292. So we're down 30%. And the number of days to sell is also down 30%,
Yeah.
19 from 32 last year.
Yeah.
Go
You
ahead.
want me to take this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we have condos again. Average price this year is round figure 650,000. That's up from 470,000 last year, same month last year. Units sold is down to 236 from 262. The only reason it's down is because of less inventory. If we had more properties to sell, we would be selling more than 262. Would be my position here. Days to sell is down from 40 days on market average last year to 24. So almost, not quite half, but we've gone, quite a significant difference in days to sell as things are selling very, very quickly.
And I just want to say, this doesn't give you permission to just list at whatever price you want. I went to view a condo that was really nicely done, but it was overlooking a busy road. Another condo had just been listed in the same building for $100,000 less. And so it's an interesting tactic on the second realtor because it made the first listing look very expensive, but it made the second listing sell quickly.
Yeah, and I've seen that happen before too. When you're talking to your seller in a condo building, and condos are much easier to compare to other condos in the same building than, say, houses on a street that were maybe all built at different years and different styles of homes. So you're definitely listing competitively, and if you don't necessarily list right at the price of the other property if it's been on market for a month and is not in alignment with any of the comparable sales, you're going to list differently, and your place will definitely by comparison look cheaper, even if it's priced a little bit above what the market would generally bear. It still looks better in beside this one.
There was a listing when I first got into real estate on Sandgate, and it was right on the water on the lagoon there, which is, we used to call it, it's called Weird Beach. We used to call it Weird Beach because it smelled. We also called it Stinky Beach.
It is pretty stinky. Yeah, beautiful though.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So anyway, but actually in the summer you're below the smell because it rises up with the heat. So anyway, this listing was $550, and it was this little teeny house, and right on the lagoon. And anyway, I'm probably in a tsunami zone. And this other listing came up around the corner, also on Sandgate, closer to the ocean, for like 1.5 million. And all of a sudden, that little teeny house sold.
Yeah. Yeah. Suddenly people realize, oh, wait a second. Yeah. Good point.
I can get this.
So if
Yeah.
only you could get all your neighbors to list their homes higher than yours, if your overpriced listing there's a wonderful strategy.
Yeah. Okay. Townhomes. So last year we were looking at 659 for the average price of a townhome. We've gone up to 807. The number of units sold this year is down from last year, 76 compared to 97. And the number of days to sell is also lower at 33 compared to 38. So not quite as big a range as the other ones, but still significant.
Yeah. And what's interesting when you look at these stats, we're seeing that the units sold is down and the days to sell is down. And normally those two stats wouldn't go together. You'd normally see units sold going up with days to sell going down, or days to sell going up and units sold going down, because, supply and demand. But again, with such low supply, we just don't have the units to sell. But normally we would see, in all things being equal, when prices are going up and the days to sell, you'd be selling more units. I guess then, though, because we have low supply, we are getting the raise in prices. When we see more supply, maybe we'll see a plateau or a slight adjustment.
I think so. I noticed it this summer when we had a little more inventory that my clients were like, oh well. I'm like, oh my God, just buy. And now they're regretting it. There was a listing that was for $925, and I think it sold for like $9 something, like line 37 or something. Anyway, now that listing would be 1.1.
We've been working with people since we've been licensed for over 15 years, Jane and I. We got licensed at the same time. That's how we met. We're like real estate brother and sister, and siblings. And what's my point here is that all throughout our career, we've both seen people come through homes and say, I think I'm going to wait. I think things are going to change. I think it's going to get better for me. And those people maybe still haven't even bought a home. And if they had bought back in 2006 or 2010 or 2020.
Now is a really hard time for people who are deep thinkers, like who need time to think. It's just like strategically, it's just not the best way right now to even get in the market. It's just so hard. So you really need to be a quick thinker and sort of get over your fear, especially if you're looking at buying and you're going to be in there for a long time.
Yeah.
Because if you buy and hold, I mean, you saw the market over the past 2 years going up. It's just historically, it's just not gonna. If you buy and hold, you're gonna weather out any storm.
Generally speaking, and quick thinker. I think it's more about action, and less about and then there's the fear factor as well, of the fear of the future, fear of what could change. And yes, just like in anything, there will be people who will lose out by waiting, and there will be people who will lose out by taking this, very quick action. But historically, in the last while, it's the action-oriented people who have been doing well. And it's a conversation. I just had this conversation yesterday with some clients / friends who I was really trying to hammer home for them that in this market, with a home that they would have to sell first, that they, would be, and I know they would be concerned on building inspections and have to line up a lot of ducks, that we will have our work cut out for us to buy a home in this market, because unless you're willing to take huge risks buying a home with a, less chance to overview and inspect, you're not going to get it. So better to wait maybe for a more balanced market where you actually have the opportunity to do these things.
Or if a seller provides a pre-listing inspection, that helps.
That can be helpful, but I find maybe 1 in 10 has that. It's not as common as I would like to see.
Well,
Those
you can
arguments
tell
don't.
everybody that.
I just did.
Yeah, and also, I was gonna say, so I had a client who, for a long time, was very concerned about buying a home and was overwhelmed with the debt. And then, when we were doing the math, we realized that the person was paying $18.50 a month in rent, and if they bought the home that they were looking at, which had a suite, the suite was paying under market at $1,000. That even with the under market, her mortgage would be about $600 a month. And then all of a sudden, I went from working with somebody who is not motivated because of debt to all of a sudden going, okay, I got to get into a house now. Anyway, okay.
Right.
Waterfront, bit of a
Wow.
unicorn.
Amazing.
Go ahead.
Well, so only 10 units sold, right? So when we're looking, this is another point about these average sale prices. But Waterfront really has taken off lately. I've seen some amazing prices for Waterfront. But this year, 2.843 million. So almost 3 million is our current average sale price for Waterfront in Greater Victoria, whereas last year it was just under 2 million was the average. We had 10 units sold in the month of November as opposed to 31 last year, and days to sell down from 142 on average to only 33 days on average to sell. This is unheard of for this kind of price point. Normally, the luxury homes can take quite some time to sell.
Yep.
So for an average of 33 days, that tells me that there are some properties that are selling in less than a week, and of course still some that are going to take months. But on average, 33 days, that's pretty amazing.
Yep. Okay, and then this is the home price index. So these are ideal homes. This is another way of looking at data. So what they're doing is taking the ideal home and giving it some algorithm. I don't really understand it, to be honest.
Yeah,
but
there's a company that's taking a bunch of attributes of homes, throwing them in a blender, outputting an average type of home and tracking that value over time. And so when we talk about the home price index, it's an imaginary home, but it's a good representative of what has been changing over time in these different regions.
It's kind of like looking at inflation.
Yeah.
It's the cost of everything bundled together.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, November 2020 for the Greater Victoria area was 821. And in November 2021, it was over a million, up 26.7%.
Yeah.
And then the core region, which is the 5 main hitters, downtown, Saanich,
Bay, Victoria, Esquimalt,
and View Royal, 903,000 for 2020 and 1.122 in November 2021, so up 24.2%. And I would say the hot area this year is View Royal.
Yeah, View Royal's always been, I felt, a little undervalued and underappreciated, and it's and now it's starting to reach that, because it's in between the centers of the West Shore, which has been seeing a lot of growth, and the downtown area, and those two areas have been expanding and growing. View Royal in the middle is benefiting from the bump and rise.
I'm going to start calling it View Royale. Go ahead, you do the next two.
Oh, please don't. Don't call it View Royale. Okay, so Peninsula region in November 2020, 881,800 was the representative price of a representative home in that area. This year, November 2021, 1,129,900. So that's a 28.1% change. And then in the West Shore, it's gone from 709,300, relatively cheap by the looks of it from everything when you look at it compared to everything else. And that was in November 2020. It's gone up in November 2021 to 912,700, a 28.7% rise. So that's the biggest rise we see in these 4 different quadrants. And, considering that it also has the most room for growth with new construction and positive development. It's interesting to see that it's rising that rapidly.
Well, I think one thing that's helping it is Souk has kind of really bumped up in terms of price. So that's part of the West Shore.
Mm-hmm.
Things have changed. And also the other area that's getting a lot of attention, which previously didn't, and I know realtors are moving there, I know two are, is the
Shawnigan Lake.
Highlands.
Highlands. Okay, yeah. I know a few have done the Highlands as well. I've also seen Shawnigan Lake has really been taking off.
Yeah. Well, any lakefront, like
Yes.
you wouldn't believe the crap that I've shown for lakefront over the past year. And so
Well, these areas are all the old, recreational areas for, the homes in Victoria. And so they have, let's say you're at Prior Lake and there's just an old cottage that someone has, had as the family cottage for years. It's the same with what Cordova Bay used to be along the waterfront there along the ocean. It was all old cottages, and now people have bought up those old properties and built, beautiful homes along there. Same's happening with these lakes.
yeah. It's funny coming from a bigger city like Toronto and being here and seeing what's happening here is a reflection of what happened in Toronto like in the 70s. We really are going through some growing pains.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did talk to a mortgage broker. I talked to Jen Lowe this morning about where she felt the interest rates were going. She felt like for fixed rates, we are going to definitely see a rise, but it looks like variable rates will not be touched over the coming year.
Okay. There you go.
What's your prediction?
If you're variable, it's still worth hanging on to your variable rate, not locking in. The mantra I keep hearing from mortgage brokers is, variable is, 99.9 times out of 100 is better to stay with variable, but you'll win out in the long run. But I'm sure there are people watching the rates rise a little bit or looking to the future and saying they're so low, let's consider it. So talk to your mortgage professional if you're thinking of these things, for sure.
What's your prediction for this year's market? You go first.
Well, I've said before, I think I'm hoping for more balance in this spring. And we are also looking at a government who has said that they are going to be bringing in some measures to quiet the market, including a cooling off period for buyers. So anytime that there is change or uncertainty, I find that puts a hit on the market. And maybe the same kind of short-term hit that we saw when COVID came. There's still such high demand, and there are people wanting to move here from all over the country. And, relative to other areas of, the world in general, this is still a relatively inexpensive and beautiful place to live. So I think we'll continue to see high demand, but I'm hoping to see prices stabilize and maybe a little bit more of a little less craziness. But until we open up some more inventory, we're in a self-fulfilling prophecy of low inventory means sellers don't want to sell because they don't know where they're going to move to. And so therefore we don't get more inventory.
I think we're going to see more inventory coming on in the spring. I think a lot of people have been holding off. Again, what you were saying, the inventory will beget more inventory because people will then have choice. I think we're going to see, I'm typing this all out, by the way. I think we are going to see a more balanced market as well. I just did my market report for my own clients. I sent it out yesterday. I was saying that as well. More of a balanced market, more because I think there's going to be a bit of buyer fatigue, and people will not want to get into bidding wars. I do find right now with my clients, they're like, I ask them, what's the hurry? And they're afraid that the market prices are going to go up.
Fear is a big motivator in real estate and in any kind of sales market. And it's an unfortunate thing, but yeah.
But when you're in the market, so one of the things, like, I don't know if you do this, but when I work with my buyers, I also show them pending listings over the last 30 days so they can see where the prices are going. So if they want that information, it's there for them.
Yeah.
And same with listings. So Oh, I just got a call from the government. I'm being my CRA taxes are behind.
Oh,
Or
this is
maybe it's the
another
people
spam
listening.
call. Yeah.
Um, I think though there'll be some interest rate hikes, so that'll affect the fixed rate. I think some people love fixed rate over variable, although there's an advantage to both. And so I think that in the end, those little price hikes will cause a little hesitation in the market.
Yeah. People don't like change, and when we come into the spring market, we'll see what happens. But there's just so much. I have found that the market is motivated a bit by fear of not being able to find something, so people act too quickly, or fear of the price. You're right though. You're right though in the sense that I think there are some buyers that are getting fatigued and are choosing to sort of pull out in a way, or the market has gotten away from them and they've just found that they just can't stretch any further. And so if they continue to find that they're frustrated by the market conditions, they will fall away, because it's an emotional process. It's a time-consuming emotional process to look at homes and to make offers and to, fall in love with a home only to find that it sold to somebody else who was willing to take more of a risk or pay more money. And if that continuously happens, you eventually say, okay, I think I'm going to take a break and make other plans. And they may still be happy to buy a home if the right home came up, but they're just not emotionally ready anymore. So the spring may be a mix of that.
Well, the other thing people need to understand is they don't necessarily need to buy where they're going to live. They can always buy where they want to retire. And maybe it's time to look further afield than just Victoria if they want to purchase. And so, like, maybe they want to go live on a lake outside of Winnipeg. I don't know. It's less expensive there. Like it all depends on what your lifestyle is going to be. I'm not saying that facetiously. I know clients who have done it. And
I've sold a home. I've sold clients homes where they're moving to Nova Scotia because they can sell a home here, pay off their mortgage, buy a home for cash in Nova Scotia, and also have years worth of living expenses covered. So they can raise their family without having to work during their family's help. They can homeschool their kids. It's a value. It's a value decision.
yeah.
That people make.
So I'm just going to add one thing. Is tomorrow I'm doing a talk for Remax Europe, and I've been posting it everywhere on my social media. I'm just going to post the link in here. Is that all right with you?
It's fine with me, Jane.
Okay. And so it's about creating community and attracting your ideal clients. It's at 6 a.m. if you guys want to join me. This is a way that Andrew and I want to add value to people's real estate experience, whether it be other realtors, buyers, or sellers. And, we're not saying we have the key to everyone's success, but we're certainly, open and willing to ideas if anybody else has something they want to contribute as well. Wouldn't you say?
I'd say that this industry is a really amazing industry, and there are many agents that are happy and willing to share their knowledge. And that's one of the things I love about this business. And, there are definitely different agents with different approaches, but, Jane and I are both people who are willing to share what we know. We don't know everything. We're not the all end all be all experts in everything, but, we found over the years some little nuggets of truth, and we're happy to share and also to learn from others as well. So. And I just want to say too, because Jane, you mentioned that you're doing this talk, and Jane, for those listening, Jane is with Royal LePage. She's got her Briar Hill group. Sorry, Jane is with Remax Mosin, and I'm with Royal LePage, and I'm not confused at all. But we're both independent agents. We're both doing our own thing. We get together once a week to do this broadcast, but we are individual agents. So. If you are watching this and you're curious, call one of us, call both of us. call other agents, but we're both happy to help here. Yeah, and subscribe so you can never miss out on another episode of this scintillating conversation.
Okay, so Andrew, how do people get in touch with you?
They can reach me at, they can call or text at 250-360-6106, or email me info@andrewplank.com. So that's my name, andrewplank.com, or check out my website, which is also andrewplank.com. How about you, Jay?
You guys, you can reach me at 250-744-0775. Just so you know, the line about Google and CRA doesn't work on me anymore. You can email me at briarhillgroup@gmail.com. It never worked. And you can visit me on my website at briarhillgroup.com. And you can watch videos there on listing and selling real estate, and as well as the purchase side. Or you can visit Andrew and me on VancouverIslandTime.com, where we house all of these lovely shows.
Our past shows, yes.
Alrighty, and don't forget, we're on YouTube. Okay, so have a great week, Andrew.
Thank you, and have a great show. Show tomorrow. So.
And I think we'll do one more, and then we're going to be off for Christmas season, right?
Yeah, let's do that. Yes.
I need a break. Alrighty, take care and have a great week, everybody. Stay healthy, stay safe, and eat well. Bye.
Merry Christmas.